NBA YoungBoy's Massa concert tour just took a wild turn in New Orleans. After his concert, YoungBoy was seen walking through the streets surrounded by hundreds of fans screaming his name. But things took an unexpected twist when footage surfaced of him, begging his Opps not to kill him. So, what really went down? Let's break it down. When concerts become chaos, it's the wee hours of October 20th, 2025, and the streets of downtown New Orleans are about to turn into straight pandemonium. A moment that perfectly captures the wild relationship between one of the game's hottest rappers and his ride-or-die fanbase. What kicked off as a triumphant homecoming show for NBA YoungBoy was about to flip into a scene of pure uncut chaos that would spark viral clips, crazy headlines, and real questions about what goes down when fan love crosses into dangerous territory. The night had started off smooth as hell just hours before. The Smoothie King Center had been going absolutely stupid as YoungBoy hit the stage for his first Louisiana performance in 7 whole years. This wasn't just another stop on the mass tour, short for Make America Slime Again. This was a straight-up cultural event. Green lights flooded the whole arena, that's his signature color, as he delivered a performance that had the whole crowd rapping every bar, living every second. Tickets had been snatched up quick because of his massive pull and how rare it is to catch him performing in the region. The show wrapped up successfully around midnight, and for a hot minute, it looked like everything had gone down without a hitch. But NBA YoungBoy made a move that would quickly spiral into straight madness. After the concert ended somewhere around 1 to 2 a.m. on Monday, October 20th, which just happened to be his 26th birthday, the rapper decided to take a casual walk through downtown New Orleans. He was rolling with only a small crew of about 8 people and straight up had no professional security, no bodyguards on deck, no barriers, just YoungBoy and his day ones walking through the city that raised him. He started his stroll near the corner of Canal Street and Bourbon Street, spots known for that wild nightlife and heavy foot traffic in the French Quarter. Footage captured during this time shows YoungBoy dressed low-key in a black jacket and shades, walking confidently along Canal Street. At first, the vibe started off pretty chill with just a few fans pulling up for flicks or shouting out support, but as word spread like wildfire, probably blown up by social media posts and the hype still buzzing from the concert, the crowd started swelling up crazy. What started as just a handful of hype supporters escalated into hundreds of folks converging on his location, creating a thick mob that spilled onto Bourbon Street itself. The whole situation turned chaotic real quick with fans pushing forward trying to get closer, screaming his name, trying to get at him, leading to a situation where movement became mad restricted for YoungBoy and his squad. This is when the New Orleans Police Department officers, who had been strategically posted up in the area because of pre-planned security measures for the concert, This is when the New Orleans Police Department officers, who had been strategically posted up in the area because of pre-planned security measures for the concert, responded quickly to the developing scene. Videos from the scene, including footage captured by Project NOLA cameras and random people's cell phones, show cops forming a protective corridor around YoungBoy to shield him from the pressing fans. About 4 to 6 officers are seen grabbing him by the arms, body, and shoulders, physically guiding and sometimes carrying him backward through the crowd to a waiting whip parked nearby. In one major clip, YoungBoy appears resistant to the escort, looking reluctant to bounce from the area so abruptly as he's heard or seen expressing he wants to keep his outing going while the officers are prioritizing getting him out safe. The whole intervention only lasted a few minutes, with police successfully moving him through the crowd without any use of force beyond the necessary physical guidance. No straps were pulled. No aggressive tactics were deployed. YoungBoy was escorted to the vehicle without incident, marking the end of the brief frenzy. Most importantly, the NPD later dropped an official statement clarifying that there was no criminal activity involved, no arrests were made, and the situation was purely crowd control to ensure public safety. But New Orleans wasn't a one-off situation. The chaos that night was just the latest chapter in what had become a pattern of disruption following NBA YoungBoy wherever his tour rolled through. The mass tour, which launched on September 1st, 2025, at the American Airlines Center in Dallas and was scheduled to conclude on November 12th in Seattle, had been plagued by mad security issues, venue cancellations, crowd altercations, and external threats from damn near the jump. The disruption started early on September 10th, 2025, during the second stop at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, when a straight-up brawl erupted among fans in the stands just as YoungBoy launched into Lonely Child, with videos catching chaotic shoving and punches being thrown amid the packed 20,000-seat venue. The altercation forced brief pauses in the performance as security rushed to intervene, but no one got booked and the show kept going. Then came Kansas City, where things took an even darker turn. On September 21st, 2025, at T-Mobile Center, a 14-year-old fan allegedly attacked a 66-year-old usher, punching and kicking the staff member in a viral video that showed the teen getting detained by security. The elder on his back and repeatedly jumped on, with the only thing on his mind being whether he'd make it out alive. Early Usher would later tell local news about the terrifying moments when he got thrown on his back and repeatedly jumped on, with the only thing on his mind being whether he'd make it out alive.
Getting him off me, because he was so enraged, so we were in essence trying to protect the fans.
The venue's VP of Sales and Marketing dropped a statement emphasizing the injuries sustained by multiple team members who got first aid on site before hospital treatment. This wasn't just rowdy behavior, this was straight violence that resulted in immediate arrests and calls for stricter age restrictions at future stops. But perhaps the most significant disruption came on September 24th, 2025, when Chicago's United Center straight up canceled the scheduled show just one day before, citing that they couldn't guarantee the safety of concert attendees following intelligence about potential smoke linked to his beef with Chicago-based rapper Lil Durk. Fans who had already entered the arena got turned away, sparking frustration from YoungBoy's camp. His manager publicly called out the venue for a last-minute bailout on social media, while refunds were issued via Ticketmaster. The venue had initially announced they would enforce a zero-bag policy for the show, not the usual clear bag policy that allows small see-through bags, but absolutely no bags whatsoever. But even that extreme measure wasn't enough. After a couple of days went by, absolutely no bags whatsoever. But even that extreme measure wasn't enough. After a couple of days went by, the Chicago Center just decided to dead the show entirely and not even try it.
That wasn't the topic.
Well, you said stop it to shout him out.
Go ahead, I'm talking shit, man.
So yeah, he was supposed to have a show, Chicago United Center. YoungBoy was involved with the beef, whatever, with Durk, which led to Vaughn's passing. It's his first time in Chicago since. Of course, they've been all on the internet saying whatever. So the first thing happened, the Chicago Center puts out an update and says, listen, we're doing a zero bag policy at this show. Normally at shows, they have a clear bag policy. The little book bags, the little handbag, as long as it's clear, they can see through it. You can bring that bag in. It's like, for this particular show, no bags allowed whatsoever. We're not playing. And then like a couple days went by and the Chicago Center just said, yo, we canceling the show. Okay. We're not even doing it. So they deaded the show.
The chaos kept coming. On October 13th, 2025 in Columbia, South Carolina at the Colonial Life Arena, YoungBoy stopped his set mid-P performance after a fan kept throwing objects onto the stage, prompting him to address the crowd straight up. This is a YoungBoy show. Don't play with me tonight. Security quickly removed the individual, and the concert resumed after a tense 5-minute pause. To handle these recurring threats, venues and local authorities implemented escalating security protocols across the tour's remaining legs. For the New Orleans shows, NOPD Assistant Superintendent Hans Ganthier announced the deployment of over 400 officers, tactical units, surveillance drones, and armored vehicles throughout the Central Business District and French Quarter alongside a strict no-go policy. Ganthier publicly urged attendees to leave the guns at home, warning about car burglaries if left unattended. Despite the disruptions, totaling at least 4 full cancellations and numerous interventions, the tour kept its momentum with YoungBoy performing in over 30 cities by mid-October. His fan base's loyalty remained absolutely unbreakable, with commentators noting that before anyone could properly assess his impact, they needed to give the man his props and acknowledge just how powerful his connection with fans truly is. But to understand why his concerts attract such intense and sometimes dangerous energy, we need to dive into the man behind the music and the criminal history that shaped both his art and his public persona. A life defined by legal battles. Kentrell Deshawn Gaulden didn't choose the circumstances of his birth, but those circumstances would shape everything that came after. Born on October 20th, 1999 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, YoungBoy grew up in a world where poverty, family dysfunction, and street violence weren't just background noise. They were the everyday reality. He was raised primarily by his maternal grandmother in a cramped Section 8 apartment after his father got locked up for murder and his mother struggled with addiction. This wasn't the kind of upbringing that sets you up for success. This was the kind of upbringing that tests whether you'll survive at all. YoungBoy's criminal history started popping off during his teenage years, rooted in the high-crime environment of Baton Rouge's North Side. At just 15 years old in 2015, he caught a case for simple robbery after allegedly participating in a street stick-up leading to a 6-month bid in juvenile detention. Court records from the time describe a judge viewing the incident as a pivotal moment, with YoungBoy later reflecting in interviews that the isolation forced him to confront his budding rap ambitions, channeling fear into lyrics about vulnerability and escape. But that was just the beginning. Released on his 16th birthday, he quickly channeled his experience into viral freestyles. But trouble came back around in 2016 during a stop in Austin, Texas. Police accused him and 3 associates of letting off shots into a crowd from a vehicle in a drive-by, charging all 4 with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, a potential 40-year stretch under Texas law. The case hinged on witness statements and ballistic evidence linking shell casings to their whip, but YoungBoy's defense argued mistaken identity amid the chaos of a rival crew altercation. Ultimately, he CPP'd a plea to reduce charges of aggravated assault with a firearm, receiving a suspended 10-year sentence, 9 months in the county, and 3 years of probation. By 2018, as YoungBoy's fame blew up with platinum singles and assigning to Atlantic Records, his personal scandals started dominating headlines. The most infamous incident went down in February that year at a Miami hotel where surveillance footage caught him in a heated altercation with then-girlfriend Jania Jackson. The video leaked widely online shows YoungBoy grabbing Jackson by the hair, dragging her across the lobby and shoving her into an elevator amid shouts of profanity, with her pleading for him to stop. The footage sparked immediate backlash, with advocates calling it out as emblematic of toxic masculinity in hip-hop. Prosecutors hit YoungBoy with battery, simple assault, and false imprisonment charges. He posted $75,000 bail after 1 month in custody, and the case resolved with anger management classes and probation. The federal escalation that would consume the next 5 years of his life kicked off in late 2020. On September 29, 2020 in Baton Rouge, police pulled over a vehicle carrying YoungBoy and 14 associates, discovering 2 AR-15 style rifles, a handgun, and over 100 rounds of ammunition, items illegal for him as a convicted felon. Authorities labeled the group as members of the NBA street gang, citing tattoos, jewelry, and intercepted communications, referencing violent turf disputes. YoungBoy got indicted on federal counts of possessing unregistered firearms and being a felon in possession, facing up to 10 years, but his arrest warrant went ignored as he bounced to Los Angeles. The FBI's dramatic March 22, 2021 takedown, a high-speed chase ending in a SWAT standoff, led to additional state charges. Court filings revealed the Bureau's internal code name for the investigation, Operation Never Free Again, a pointed jab at his Never Broke Again moniker that his lawyers called out as prejudicial branding, arguing it showed evidence of a vendetta against his success, transferred to house arrest in Utah in 2021 as part of a plea deal. YoungBoy kept releasing music remotely, but violations kept stacking. In April 2024, while under electronic monitoring in his Huntsville mansion, he got implicated as the ringleader of a sprawling prescription drug fraud operation. Cache County Sheriff's Office affidavit detail how YoungBoy allegedly impersonated doctors over the phone pharmacies statewide, ordering fake scripts for promazine with codeine using stolen identities and forged documents. The scheme involved up to 20 accomplices and netted thousands of bottles, funneled to his crib for distribution. When authorities finally moved in to arrest him in Utah, where he'd been serving strict house arrest, they hit him with a staggering array of charges that would shock even his most loyal supporters. NBA YoungBoy has been arrested in Utah, where he has been serving strict house arrest during legal proceedings. According to jail records from the Cache County Sheriff's Office, the 2024-year-old was booked on several charges Tuesday morning. Initially hit with 63 felonies, including identity fraud, forgery, and unlawful pharmacy conduct. He CPP'd a plea in November 2024 to 10 counts, receiving a concurrent sentence with his federal gun case. The charges included forgery, identity fraud, pattern of unlawful activity, procuring drugs and prescriptions, possession of controlled substances, and possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person. The severity and variety of these charges had people questioning what exactly he'd been doing while supposedly under house arrest, with many noting that he'd been openly posting about drug use on social media for nearly 2 years while confined to what he'd nicknamed Gravedigger Mountain forgery identity from his "What are you up there doing?" An attorney representing YoungBoy issued a statement saying in part everyone is presumed innocent and he has falsely been accused in the past. So look, man, you've been posting drugs in hospitals for about 2 years. So yeah, we all been seeing it laying on the floor. Any fraud is crazy. The gun charges culminated in a December 2024 Utah federal sentencing, where the judge handed down 23 months for the 2020 firearms violations, crediting time served, and mandating substance abuse treatment and mental health evaluations. Additional Weber County charges for weapons possession and drug paraphernalia got folded in, pushing his total exposure to over 66 counts before pleas reduced them. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. released early to a halfway house in March 2025 due to good behavior and overcrowding. His freedom was overshadowed by a May 2025 presidential pardon from Donald Trump, one of dozens issued in a clemency wave. The pardon covering the Utah gun conviction was praised by supporters as restorative justice for a black artist targeted by overzealous prosecution, but criticized by victims' advocates as leniency for a gang leader. By July 2025, a revised plea adjusted his full release to July 27th, allowing the mass tour launch, but probation stipulations like travel restrictions and no-contact orders with alleged co-conspirators continue to loom over him. What's remarkable about the Chicago show cancellation is that despite the venue pulling the plug, YoungBoy's team still got their bag for the performance they never gave. The economics of the situation reveal just how seriously venues take their contractual obligations and how much bread is at stake in this tour. According to industry insiders, when the United Center called 2 days before the show to cancel, YoungBoy's trucks were already there. They were ready to go. They had fans ready to attend. And his team made it clear they weren't coming to Chicago for war. They were coming to perform for their fans. They got paid for it. I talked to Izzo. They got paid for that show and didn't perform, of course. Wow. Because they didn't cancel it, right? So, they kind of broke it down to me. They said, listen, 2 days before our trucks are there. We're ready to go. We got fans there. We're not like, well, we think we come here to war. No, we come here to perform. We got fans. We love our fans. We're not going to It's Not a War Zone. So they wanted to have a good show. The United Center called him. Hey, listen, we're gonna have to cancel this. Through it all, YoungBoy's response has been prolific output. Over 100 songs released during house arrest alone and introspective admissions and tracks where he grapples with regret over violence's toll on his family. His legal troubles haven't just shaped his biography. They've become the very substance of his artistry. The raw material he transforms into music that resonates with millions. With this troubled history as context, it becomes clear that NBA YoungBoy isn't just another rapper with legal problems. He's an artist whose entire identity has been forged in the fire of struggle. And that authenticity is exactly what draws millions of fans to his music. The power of pain, how struggle became stardom. There's something almost paradoxical about NBA YoungBoy's come up. Here's an artist who's spent more time fighting legal battles than promoting albums, who's performed more frequently from house arrest than from traditional studios, and whose music videos are more likely to be filmed in makeshift home setups than on elaborate sets. Yet somehow, this 26-year-old from Baton Rouge has become one of the most streamed artists in hip-hop history, boasting over 15 billion YouTube views and billions of Spotify streams. The secret to understanding YoungBoy's meteoric rise isn't found in traditional music industry playbooks. It's found in the raw, unfiltered realness that permeates every aspect of his artistry. His musical style is a visceral distillation of Southern hip-hop's evolution. Forged in the humid, high-tension streets of Baton Rouge, where he was raised in a cramped Section 8 apartment. At age 11, he discovered rap through YouTube tutorials using a cheap $200 microphone plugged into his grandmother's old computer to record his first verses in her living room. This DIY ethos, raw, unpolished, and deeply personal, defines his sound. A hybrid of traps, booming 808s and hi-hats, melodic auto-tune croons reminiscent of early 2010s New Orleans bounce, and aggressive staccato flows that shift unpredictably from introspective whispers to barked threats. His production choices favor sparse, haunting beats with piano loops and eerie synths that mirror the emotional isolation in his lyrics, creating anthems that feel like late-night confessions rather than club bangers. From those humble origins, YoungBoy's output exploded into one of rap's most prolific catalogs with over 26 albums, mixtapes, and EPs released since 2015. His early mixtapes were grassroots affairs uploaded to SoundCloud and DatPiff, blending local influences to build a fervent Baton Rouge following. By 2017's AI YoungBoy, his major label debut under Atlantic Records, he had refined his formula, double-time flows over trap snares juxtaposed with melodic hooks that would peak on the Billboard Hot 100. But what truly sets YoungBoy apart isn't just his technical skill or prolific output. It's his lyrical preoccupation with duality, glorifying the grind of street life while dissecting its soul-crushing toll. His verses often paint vivid vignettes of aspiration clashing with peril in tracks where he spits about stolen whips, hammers, and pipe dreams of millions, weaving tales of rags to riches that double as survival manuals. This glorification isn't blind. Songs pivot to paranoia and isolation, capturing the fear of fame's crosshairs with bars inspired by real threats from beefs and arrests. The generational impact of his music cannot be overstated. There's a way that the younger generation views NBA YoungBoy that mirrors how previous generations viewed legends like Lil Wayne or even Tupac. He's not just a rapper to them. He's a symbol of survival, authenticity, and unbreakable spirit. They don't just vibe to his music. They would literally ride for him with their lives, treating him as something more than an artist, almost like a prophet speaking their truth. It ain't just the shows. That's what we mean, and you had this argument a long time ago.no, not me. Zaire was up here too. But yo, they love like the way the generation after us looked at Wayne. Z compared him to Tupac, and other is how they look at YoungBoy. Like he's that, like they will die for this, for real. The impact on his fan base is seismic. His 10 million plus YouTube subscribers, predominantly 13 to 24-year-olds from the South and Midwest, dissect lyrics in comment sections like scripture. Fans tattoo 4KT, his crew's acronym, as badges of solidarity, and his green slime aesthetic has spawned a $50 million merch empire from hoodies to energy drinks, turning concerts into fashion runways where attendees mirror his energy. Throughout the Moser, this manifests in ritualistic call and responses like the era-wide slime chants during Make No Sense, creating communal exorcisms of pain. In New Orleans on October 19th, fans paused mid-swarm to harmonize Lonely Child, a moment of vulnerability amid chaos that videos captured as transcendent. These aren't just concerts. They're spiritual experiences for young people who see their own struggles reflected in YoungBoy's lyrics about poverty, betrayal, and resilience. The demographic realities of YoungBoy's fan base reveal why his shows attract such intense energy. His appeal to Gen Z and younger millennials, many under 18, brings a volatile mix of unfiltered passion and impulsivity to venues. This loyalty manifests in sold-out arenas across the Moser, where fans arrive hours early, transforming parking lots into pre-game tailgates, complete with green and black merchandise halls. The cultural fabric of this fandom is woven from the Never Broke Again ethos, a philosophy YoungBoy has championed since his 2017 mixtape series, which celebrates breaking cycles of generational poverty through hustle, family loyalty, and unapologetic self-expression. But the intensity of these shows can be overwhelming. After one person attended the Los Angeles show and experienced the crowd's energy firsthand, they immediately hit up their homie with urgency in their voice, insisting that they absolutely had to go to a YoungBoy show. But when their homie peeped video footage of what the crowd actually looked like, the sheer chaos, the bodies pressed together, the uncontrolled energy, they had a very different reaction, describing it as looking like literal hell on earth. I got a phone call after his LA show. This how the conversation started. I swear to God, you got to go to YoungBoy show. And I'm like, I planned on going, but then I saw the video of the crowd. And I said, that looks like literal hell. Amid the turbulence, positive interactions revealed the profound redemptive bond at the fandom's core. Throughout the Masa tour, YoungBoy has paused mid-set multiple times to de-escalate fights, as in Los Angeles, where during a pit brawl, he killed the lights and addressed the arena. We family here. Put that energy in the music, not each other, prompting cheers in a collective reset that fans later credited with saving the night. In Houston, he invited a young mother on stage for a birthday shout-out, gifting her $5,000 from a stack of cash pulled from his pocket, a recurring motif drawn from his Never Broke Again philanthropy. The production value of the tour has also surprised many who expected a more bare-bones performance. When skeptics assumed YoungBoy would just walk back and forth on stage without much effort, they were proven dramatically wrong. He's actually putting on a full-scale production with all the visual effects, pyrotechnics, and stage design you'd want to see at a major concert. And the set list is extensive. He's not shortchanging fans on the music either, going through his entire catalog and making sure everyone gets their money's worth. So, I told him, I'm like, nah. He was like, yo, I'll get you Riser tickets. Riser, you're not in the crowd. You're not in the missing none of that. I'll get y'all on the Riser if you want to with it. I'm like, alright, bet. He was like, yo, this show the energy. He was like, yo, he's putting on a real production. Cause my man was like, yo, I ain't going to lie. When I went, the first thing I said was, oh, he going to be up here stealing money. Basically walking back and forth, no screens. He was like, no, it's a full-on prod. He's put on a show-like effects. All that you want to see at a concert, he's doing these moments amplified by the tour's cinematic production. Coffin entrances, pyrotechnic house crumbles, and dancers in military fatigues create immersive experiences that one critic described as carnivals of distrust turned triumphant, where the overwhelming 40-song set list leaves no one bored with fans from teens to young adults standing on seats in ecstatic solidarity. Even cancellations haven't dampened spirits. When the second Atlanta date got axed, fans pivoted to an impromptu outdoor rave outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, complete with Bluetooth speakers blasting Make No Sense, fireworks, and light shows, turning disappointment into defiance. In New Orleans, the pre-con lot was buzzing with tailgates, where families grilled and shared stories of how tracks like Sincerely, Kentro got them through tough times. This resilience mirrors the brand symbols, chains not just as flexes, but anchors of survival, dances as coded affirmations of joy and struggle. By October 21st, 2025, with over 30 dates completed, the Masa Tour has grossed millions while spotlighting a fandom that's as much a movement as a market, passionate, problematic, profoundly connected. Proving YoungBoy's influence extends far beyond the stage, shaping behaviors that oscillate between riot and revelation. His music doesn't just entertain. It provides a voice for the voiceless, a soundtrack for survival, and proof that even from the darkest circumstances, stardom and redemption remain possible. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.